Okay, welcome everybody to the webinar, and again, a hearty welcome to you all, and thank you for your patience while we allowed a bunch of people who just joined us to join us, and so we can start all at the same time here. So again, welcome. The presentation for today is a large audience for your business via LinkedIn and on Meetup, and again, I'm very excited to share all this information with you. And there is, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sunil Bhaskaran, and my first name is Sunil. It's spelled Linus backwards, just to help you all remember, but don't ever call me Linus backwards, but you can call me Sunil for sure. There are four things you want to know about me. Firstly, I'm the founder of what's called the Global Meetup Mastermind, which is a program that we use to create both very high-level collaborations for you, as well as to build your audience out to tens of thousands of people. We currently have about 35 people in our program, and we're looking obviously to grow that out as well, and really build out a large audience for entrepreneurs like you all over the world. The other thing you want to know about me is that I have 75,000 plus people in my Meetup organization just here in the Bay Area. Internationally, my meetups are growing at about 80 to 100 people per day, and that rate of growth is also increasing. I've been a business mentor, owner, author, speaker since 1991. I've grown a variety of businesses, everything from technical recruiting through real estate investment, through coaching and mentoring other businesses as well. The fourth thing you want to know about me is that I was a successful entrant in what's called a Shark Tank for experts, for presenting this very idea I'm going to share with you about using Meetup and LinkedIn in a very innovative but very effective and grounded manner to generate large audiences. So again, I'm very excited to share this information with you. If you have any questions, feel free to enter it into the Q&A box or the chat box in your navigation menu. And you should see that navigation bar somewhere on your screen. Usually it's at the bottom for the Zoom webinar system you're using right now. Very short thing I want to share about you is my vision is to create 100 million joyful and successful entrepreneurs by the end of 2027. I look at Meetup as a very powerful platform to help that to make that happen, as well as LinkedIn too. So I'm excited to share that vision, and I hope you participate with me and help me and help us all collaboratively make that happen. Okay. There are two things that I provide for people in terms of services in my business. One is I do marketing in a way, I act as your marketing service and I take it over from you, so it frees up your time. So in common terminology, it's called marketing done for you. So I create the pipeline, I help you create the strategy and actually implement it. So that's one service that I do, and I do a lot of that in Meetup as well. It's usually a very premium program that I provide for people, and minimum investment in that is anywhere from $15,000 and up. But I also create what's called the Global Meetup Mastermind, which is an opportunity for people to collaborate and to be trained in terms of how to create an audience. I'm noticing that some of you are raising your hand. If you don't mind, if you can type in your questions to the chat box, that might be a more effective way for me to gauge the questions, and I'll do my best to get to your questions as quickly as possible. So, okay, if you can just make sure that you type in your question into the chat box, okay? And I appreciate that. Thank you for your cooperation. All right, so those are the two services that I provide. Again, the Global Meetup Mastermind is where we help foster collaborations with the people that I work with. I also promote them to my 75,000 membership that's growing, mostly business owners and professionals. But we also train people on how to set up their own meetups and LinkedIn's profiles and to work in combination so that we can generate a large audience for you. Okay, so what are we going to cover today? There are five main things that I'm going to cover. And I would strongly advise that you start taking notes. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to type it into the chat box. Okay. So what we're going to cover is what is Meetup and LinkedIn. Now, some of you may know what LinkedIn is. A lot of you may not know what Meetup is, and I'll certainly share more about that. I won't spend too much time on that. I just want to make sure I get to the main content here, but I'll do my best to answer to explain what those are. Secondly, Oh, I'll explain why Meetup and LinkedIn are your best bets today in terms of growing your audience, especially for solopreneurs and small business people, which I assume most of you are. Uh, Thirdly, we'll go over the basic steps for generating an audience. Fourthly, what is the opportunity to start acting now, especially in this time frame as we get close to 2018? And then five simple concrete steps to take to make this real for you. Okay. So, who is this training for? It's for business owners, anybody with expertise. If you feel like you have some expertise, even if you've been in a particular field for about a year or so, you may actually have some very specialized skills that you may not be aware of. A lot of people come to me, and as I help them brand their expertise, they realize they actually have a lot more than they think. We are usually our worst critics when it comes, or critics when it comes to gauging how much we really know and that we can impart to other people. So it's for business owners, people who are experts in particular areas, coaches, speakers, authors, bloggers, people who are in the real estate field, writers, investment field, financial, wealth, health. These are typical people I help, but I also help a wide range of people who have very specialized niches and specialized sets of skills. So the key to building a business these days, especially, is in building an audience. That's the basics. If you don't have an audience, it's going to be very tough to test out what you have to offer. And if you don't have a test bed to test out what you have to offer or what your service offerings or your product offerings are, then it's very difficult to fine tune your outgoing message. So you really want to learn how to build an audience. Secondly, you want to learn how to engage an audience. What do I mean by that? It's one thing, and I see, I talked to somebody yesterday who just got like 20,000 people on her Facebook group. She did an outreach, she paid for the advertising, and bless her heart, she got 15,000 people but they're not doing anything. They're not engaging with her, they're not interacting with her. So how do you engage and intrigue an audience is also something that you want to develop art and sides of and skills in doing that. So building an audience, engaging an audience is what you want to learn how to do. Thirdly, you want to learn how to convert the audience into paying clients. Now, this typically doesn't happen overnight. Most people these days, they are very distracted by almost anything that goes on in the media or in their immediate space. So you have to learn how to engage the audience. You have to learn how to intrigue the audience over time and convert them in a very integrous way, in a way that you feel good about, to being paying clients. And then the fourth thing is, in building a business these days, is to build collaborations. And this is something that Meetup and LinkedIn lends itself particularly well to if you know how to do it and if you know how to position yourself well. When you have an audience, you tend to attract people who come to you. And that's a more effective way, not just of getting clients, but also of collaborating. And it makes your sales cycle, by the way, a lot faster and easier. I'm intrigued to find out always, when I do my live presentation, I ask people to raise their hands about this, but I always ask this question, is it easier to do outreach to people, to reach out to 15,000 people and try and get them engaged with you, or have at least a couple of hundred people come to you per year, ready to do business with you, asking you questions? And guess what? They are going to be attracted to you if you have an audience to start with. So that's really the basis, is you want to start building an audience from day one as quickly as possible. So I want to share a little bit about Meetup, and then I'll talk about LinkedIn as well as we go along here. But what is the opportunity today to fulfill your vision using Meetup? Well, the opportunity is that Meetup is growing as a platform. And I'll be explaining what Meetup is in particular in pretty quickly here. Meetup is a platform. I'm not affiliated to Meetup in any sense of shape. I use Meetup like some of you use Facebook to build your audience. Similarly, I use Meetup to build an audience. And Meetup is growing. It currently has about 32 million people around the world. It's in about 180 countries. Not about, it's actually in 180 countries. And I think there are 194 countries total in the world. But it's in 180 countries. It's growing all over the world. And there are different target markets that you can target using Meetup. And those target audiences are also growing globally, not just nationally. Meetup makes money. There are several ways to use Meetup to make money. And I'll show at least one way to do that today. Meetup, if you use it right, will work for you. The majority of people who use Meetup these days are failing because they don't know how to use Meetup, and they make several tactical and strategic mistakes when they do that. Meetup is highly innovative, and there are ways that most people don't realize how to use Meetup that me and my cohorts have found out and discovered. And it works well, and it's within the policies of Meetup, so it's done in a very integrous way. So Meetup is also innovative, and I'll share a few points, salient points about that in this presentation. The early adopter in any new technology, and I consider Meetup a new technology, even though it's been around for a while, any early adopters who's doing it right on Meetup will start getting a larger part of the audience. I always use the example of the first adopters on Facebook marketing. Those people who have done it early and started early have garnered a good size of the market. It's very difficult to compete with them now. So the opportunity really is now to start building your audience using Meetup. So what is Meetup? Meetup is a platform, like I said, it's on meetup.com, and it was started in New York roughly right after 9/11, 2001. By two gentlemen, Scott Haferman and Matt Meeker. They have 32 million members, like I said. Now, there are two ways that you can use Meetup. You can use Meetup as a free account, in which case you don't pay anything, but you can go on meetup.com, look for events that you're interested in or groups that you're interested in to join, and you can join those groups and you can attend those events. Sometimes they charge for memberships, and sometimes they charge for events, and most of the time they don't. So that's one way that you can use Meetup as a free account. The other way that you can use Meetup is as a paid account, in which case you become an organizer. Now, when you become an organizer with that one organizer account, in fact, you can make as many accounts as you wish, but with that one organizer account, you can set up 3 different Meetup groups. Now, you want to pay attention to this because a lot of people tend to miss this and they get a little confused, but it's really, really quite straightforward when you get to understand it. So with one organizer account, you can set up 3 different groups. And each of these groups can have a particular area of concentration of interest. So you can have a Meetup group for business networking, as an example. You can have another Meetup group for a different hobby of yours. Let's say it's golfing. So you can have a Meetup group for golfing. You can have another Meetup group for health and fitness as a possibility. Now, some of you obviously may be in one particular business, so you may have 3 Meetup groups, but they can be directed to different geographies, different cities, and different target markets and different topics. So you can have basically 3 different kinds of Meetup groups or 3 similar Meetup groups, but they're targeted to different people or different areas of your city or area that you're in. So again, with a paid account, you can have 3 different Meetup groups. In each Meetup group, you can have an unlimited number of events. Now, Meetup has a policy that it wants you to do live in-person events. So you have to do it in person, actually have a location that you host it at, and people come to the event. However, for every in-person event that you do, you could do a virtual event or a webinar event. Now, if you're paying attention, I hope you are at this point, and I'm sure you are, this should be a very, very good news, those of you who are in the know about marketing. Because once you can do webinars on Meetup, it actually exposes you to the possibility of expanding your audience to different cities and without necessarily having to travel. So then this is exactly what I do, and I teach my people in my Global Meetup Mastermind to do, is to expand their audience, to do collaborations with different Meetup organizers across the country. And without having to travel, you can do webinars with other people in different cities so you can expand your reach. And those of you who have never heard this before should be jumping up and down with glee, because this is a great opportunity with very low cost of marketing to expand your audience by thousands, literally within the next few months. and start reaching out to people without having to spend too much time or energy. Okay. Now, like I said, for each meetup group that you have as a paid organizer, you can have an unlimited number of events. You can have webinars, like I just explained, and you can have in-person events. You can do a webinar for every in-person event. Okay. The beautiful thing about meetup.com is that it will help you automatically manage a lot of this once you set it up. Now, people keep complaining that, oh, you're going to say, oh, it seems like it's a lot of work, but I promise you, it's not a lot of work. I've been doing this for 8 years. It gets a lot more work when you start expanding it. But what I tell people is if you're expanding it, you're probably already making money on it and you understand how much you can do it. And you can hire other people at a very, very affordable rate to to manage the other aspects of it that Meetup may not manage for you. But as you're starting out, you'll find that Meetup will automatically manage your RSVPs, your announcements, and help you generate your audience. Again, if you do it right, I don't promise any overnight results. Sometimes you may have to fine-tune your approach. You have to make sure that your branding is good, your design of your own offers are good, because I can help you get an audience. But if you don't have good offers, then it's not going to work. So one of the things we do in our Global Meetup Mastermind is to make sure that your branding is up to par and your offers also make sense, okay? But the good thing about this process is it's going to force you to really think through your offers and make sure that your offer is something compelling. Because people are very smart these days. If they sense that your offer sounds like everybody else in your industry, they're not going to buy. You really, 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 let me say it again, you really have to make sure that your offers make sense, okay? And that's something else that we work with our people to do as well, okay? So there are at least 6 ways to make money on Meetup, okay? At least 6 ways. If those of you who came on this webinar and opted in, and actually all of you should have, then you should have already received a report from me via your email address that gives you a report in 6 ways to make money. I'm just going to share very, very quickly the standard model of making money on Meetup. So the standard model is when you have an event that you post in your Meetup group that's targeted to your target markets, and you have your target market audience coming to your in-person event. You do a short presentation in the event in person, and at the end of that presentation, you make an offer for either a free consultation, which you can schedule at a future time with the people who sign up for that free consultation, or you can offer a paid program or a paid product at the end of your presentation at your Meetup event. Very, very simple, very straightforward. Again, if you do it right and you have a compelling proposition, you can sell quite a lot to people at Meetup, okay? We find that about 20% of the people who come to meetups are serious about doing something. The 80% you still want to market to. They may not buy right away from you, but if you keep engaging with them on Meetup and other ways that we teach you to do, you can convert that 80% into business as well over time. Okay, so if you so this is a standard model. You have an educational presentation. People like to come to these events and be educated. That's the new trend these days, people, and it makes complete sense. They want to make sure they get educated, that they verify you, that you build trust with them, and they build trust with you. It has to be a two-way street. You want to make sure that these people are going to be good clients for you as well. And you make your offer for a free consultation. They come to the free consultation at a future date. You make an offer. That consultation may be anywhere from 30 minutes or even 15 minutes to an hour. And then you provide good information. You make sure you take care of them. You make sure you feel good about them working with you as well. Again, I emphasize, you want to make sure it's a two-way street so that there's a good partnership and a good feel in the partnership when they hire you, and you actually essentially hire them as your client as well. So it has to be a two-way street, and then you convert them into a paying client. Very straightforward, works very well. Been teaching people for years to do this, and it works very well in Meetup as well as in LinkedIn. It works pretty well. Okay. More on the steps of what it takes to build this on Meetup, and I'm going to talk about LinkedIn here in a couple of minutes as well. So there's an initial setup. In this initial setup, you want to design your meetup group. You want to start from the end in mind. So when I work with my clients, I look to see what their offers are. What are they offering in the service or the product? And we try to make that as concise and as compelling as possible. Because if your primary offer and your service offerings are not compelling enough, then you're not going to sell very well. So you got to start with your overall initial offering. So if you're a realtor, for example, and you're offering to help people to sell their homes, we want to make sure that your offer is something so compelling, it's so irresistible, and it's well worded, and it makes sense. And it distinguishes you from all the other realtors or all the other coaches or financial people or experts in your industry. Then from there, we design your offering at your meetup event. So you want to think this through very, very carefully, when you do this, and a little bit of upfront work will make your life a lot less stressful, a lot more enjoyable as you do more marketing. So from your product offerings or your service offerings, you design your initial free consultation or whatever you want to offer at the end of your event. And then based on what you offer at the end of your event, you can design your event, what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, the 4 main things that you want to share in terms of education, that those educational points have to add up to your offering. Okay. Then once you design your event, then you can design the name of your event. And then also from that, once you design your event, then you can design your group, who you want to target, and you can design a little bit more on how you're going to market it further. Okay. By it, I mean your meetup group and your event. So that's an initial setup. And once you get that set up, then you send in an application to meetup.com for them to approve your meetup group. Now, there are a couple of things that Meetup looks for. Primarily, it looks for you setting up a community and in-person events, but of course, it tolerates and lets you do webinars as well, okay, over time. But the first event you want to do is probably going to be an in-person event. So you want to make sure you set up your location, etc. In our program, we help you find free locations, if not inexpensive locations, to set up your first event. So once you got that and you send in your application, then Meetup does this wonderful thing. This wonderful thing is that it will announce your group to everyone who has an interest that you defined in your target market. You can define your target markets when you set up the application to Meetup. It'll very wonderfully announce this group and your event to everyone within a 50-mile radius of your zip code who may be interested in your group and your event. Then you have what I call a good launch. If you design it well, if you brand it well, you get a very solid launch and you start getting lots and lots of people joining your group and your events. Now, if they don't, it's a simple way to recover. And this is what's really great. Even if it doesn't work the first time, you can redo it again and put in some corrections and then do the launch again. And it works really well if you keep doing it right. You got to make sure that your branding and your offering is good. But if your offering is good, you start getting a large amount of people joining your groups and your events. Okay. So now your meetup group is growing. People are RSVPing for your first event. You're building a branding, a positioning for you online as well. Not only will people start noticing your meetup, but also people start noticing on Google. Okay, and I'll share a little bit more about that, about the Google part of this as I go on. Then there's a growth phase where we encourage people to set up a second, third, fourth, maybe in a fifth, sixth group. Now, this doesn't mean that just because you create more groups that you're going to create more events. No, it's actually quite the opposite. You create a lot more groups that will feed the same number of events. You may do 1 or 2 events per month, but have all these groups feed those 1 or 2 events. So you're casting a wide net, you could say, in your local town area, but they're all going to feed 1 or 2 events per month. So you're not spending more additional time here. Again, if you set this up right and you do it smartly and you think it up front and you work with me to help you design all of this, then you'll spend a lot less time and build a lot more people in your audience locally. So you start locally, regionally, perhaps if you want to do regionally. Some of you are ambitious and want to go start growing faster. That's fine too. But you can go at your own pace when you're doing this as well. Okay. But the second phase, the second stage, is to start having more meetup groups. And if you have more time, you can do more events as well. Okay. If you do more meetup groups, more events, then you're creating a lot more audience for you. Now, this again, I emphasize, it doesn't mean you're going to spend more time. It doesn't mean you're going to spend extraordinary amounts of money. In fact, you'll be surprised how much it costs. It doesn't cost much at all. For a single meetup account, which will give you 3 different groups, it'll cost you, yeah, it's quite expensive. I have to warn you. It costs you $89.94 US dollars for every 6 months to have 3 groups. That equates to about $5 per month per group. Okay, so that's what it will cost you for 3 groups. Now, what I recommend is getting 2 accounts to start with. Those of you who want more aggressive, maybe even 3 accounts, and that way you get 9 meetup groups or 6 meetup groups, depending how fast you want to go. And you do the math, it doesn't cost you too much at all. It's again $5 per month per meetup group to do it right. Okay. How much time does it take? Not much time at all when you're first starting out, but it's time up front to, in fact, in my experience, more time is spent trying to figure out your branding. For some of you may already be clear about your branding, and those people, hey, we can get going pretty quickly. But those of you who are branding is not up to par, you want to do more work on that to make sure it attracts people to join. Okay, and it's something you have to do regardless, whether you do Meetup or Facebook or anything else, telemarketing, etc., even mail marketing. You have to make sure that you have a compelling marketing message. If you don't have one, then nobody's going to buy anyway. So you're going to, the second phase again is to make sure you grow out your meetup groups and your audience that way. The third part is where it gets even more interesting. And this is where most people I work with are at. This is where you start creating collaborations and you start building groups in different cities and relationships with other people across your region. So if you only have a license to operate a business within the state, and you want to look at how you can build out in other cities within your state and other areas within your state as well. But the point here is you start building more collaborative partners. And you see, this is what happens when you start growing up your meetup audience or presence just locally. What I found, and it's still true to this day, is that you start getting people approaching you on a daily, weekly basis who want to collaborate with you. Most of which are not really going to work out, but there'll be a percentage of those people for whom you want to collaborate with for sure, because it's going to make you grow a lot faster. And it's a great partnership. Again, if you do it right, you set it up right, you design your market and your target markets and your meetup groups right, then you start consistently attracting people, and this becomes literally a cash flowing machine for you. Okay, I'm not going to make any guarantees to you overnight. There's work involved in this, but if you're willing to do the work, it translates into a very affordable and a very time-effective marketing engine. Okay. Again, if you have any questions, feel free. Some of you are already emailing me and testing me questions, and I appreciate that. And I'll be answering those questions as much as I can. Okay. Again, you can pace yourself. Those of you who are super ambitious, you can grow this out really fast in a matter of weeks, days sometimes. Those of you who want to pace yourself and do it over a month, a few months, you can do that as well. So what is LinkedIn? Just to change gears a little bit, LinkedIn is another online profile system. It's an online profile where you can post your profile about your business and yourself as an expert. If you're an expert, and people can find you on this, and you can also reach out to people via invitations and also attract more people to come and connect with you on LinkedIn. So you can engage and convert audience by using messaging to other people that you can search for who are in your target markets on LinkedIn. You can also create a group on LinkedIn, which is more of an online group. It's not an in-person group, but an online group that you can invite people to join. You can post articles in there, post questions, and engage with those people when you create LinkedIn groups. Okay, so LinkedIn groups is very different from Meetup groups. But here's the thing, when you combine the power of LinkedIn with Meetup, you start seeing a huge amount of presence for you. A lot of people do find me. If you go to my LinkedIn profile, which you should be able to find if you search for my name on LinkedIn, I have about easily about 10,800 people right now on LinkedIn. They're very high profile people, some of them. And So it's a great way to get high level connectors as well as just general people and build your profile. Now, what do I mean by profile? I mean that people will start recognizing you as an expert because they see how engaged you are and how visible you are both on LinkedIn and Meetup, which translates into Google as well. Why does that happen? Because when Google is very simple, it operates very simply. The more it sees of you online, the more it sees that this is relevant content for target markets that you want to approach, the more likely it is to promote you and make sure that you are found by the people who are searching for your kind of services. It's very simple mathematics, very simple science to it. So the more you engage on LinkedIn and the more you engage on Meetup together as a combination, the more you become what I call very dangerous in the market. By dangerous in the market, I don't mean that you're becoming a terrorist. I mean that you're going to be found a lot more. You're forced to be reckoned with in terms of your expertise, etc. Okay, and that attracts people who want to engage with you, especially high-level people who recognize it right away. High-level people and their marketing teams are looking for people like you. They search, at least on a weekly basis, for collaborators like you because they recognize the power of collaborators, but they also recognize that the qualification for a collaborator is that they have a demonstrated audience. So you got to demonstrate your audience in order to attract people like this. Okay. So I hope that makes sense because that what I just gave you is the key to not just medium-term growth, but also long-term growth. So again, when you combine LinkedIn and Meetup power, your Google traffic increase. We get about 30% of our business from people who find us on Google, but they don't find my website necessarily. Guess what they find? They find my Meetup groups, or they find my LinkedIn profile. So they don't necessarily find my website first, although they can in certain searches. If you search for San Jose Business Networking, you'll find that my group and my events show up more or less at the top. The people who usually show up right at the top are people like Eventbrite and large companies like that, who I assure you pay a lot of money to get to that top position. I don't pay much money to get there. I pay far less than they do, I assure you. Okay. And you can as well over time if you set up your Meetup and your LinkedIn to work powerfully together. So you get the best of both worlds. You get the high level connections that you can get on LinkedIn, and you can get the large mass scale audiences on Meetup as well. Now, Meetup can also get you high level connectors over time because, like I said, those people are searching for people who have large audiences. And if they see you on Meetup with a large audience, they want to interact with you. Now, if in the same page they see your LinkedIn group or your LinkedIn profile showing up in those searches, they're more likely to engage with you. Okay, that's a big hint. It's what's been happening for me and my other main partners. And I'm sharing this with you because I want to see more of you become more successful. Okay. So you get credibility with both kinds of audiences, the high-level connectors and large audiences. Now, some of you who have been exploring other webinars, you should be screaming for joy right now. You don't have to scream for joy, but you should be joyful right now because this is a great opportunity to hit both those kinds of audiences, high-level connectors and large audiences as well, okay? So what are the steps to creating a pipeline in Meetup and LinkedIn combination? The first is you got to design and plan. Okay, and I'm going to do a little bit more deeper dive in here as I go on, but I just want to give you a 30,000 foot view of what this. So you got to design a plan. What does that mean? You got to design your offers well. Some of you may think you have really good offers, but if they're not converting, you may have to redesign them. Okay, even I go through this process from time to time. I redesign my offers to make them better, more compelling. People buy on the basis of emotions more than logical reasons. So you have to appeal to both the logical reasons, the functional reasons, as well as the emotional reasons. Logical and functional reasons are, you're going to give them specific results. Example, you're going to make them more money or help them sell their home or help them find a spouse for life. But you got to make sure that you have compelling offers. Okay. Then of course there's more involved in it, but that's the starting point. Second is you want to go and execute and get into action. And this is something where I know a lot of you and I can say this with utter confidence because I've been coaching and mentoring people since 1991. Most people fail in the execution. They either give up too soon or they burn themselves out doing things that don't make any sense because they get attracted and sidelined or side swiped by other offers in marketing, etc. So you really want to stay the course and make sure you measure your results and fine tune appropriately. You want to give yourself any kind of strategy, some focus time so that you get the best results out of it. Then you also want to look at growth, not just staying in action. You always want to look at, okay, how can I grow this with strategic thinking so I can attract the right kind of collaborators to me? Because growth can only occur if you find other people who have large audiences who want to work with you, that you feel good about working with, and that you know that you're not competing with them, but you're helping each other to grow. Okay. So a little bit more detail in each of these phases. Okay. So the design and planning stage, you want to make sure your offer and branding is good. We talked a bit about this, but this is very, very critical. Okay. A lot of people try doing different audience building tactics on Facebook, etc., and then they keep complaining because they say, well, these things don't really work. Well, it could be that if you're approaching a large audience and you're not selling, maybe your offers are just not that great, and you may need to work on that first. So you want to refine your primary offers as you go along. You want to make sure you schedule enough time and set expectations to do so. You want to sequence your offers into a sales funnel. What do I mean by that? Not everybody's going to buy from you the minute they meet you. You're not going to go, Sunil, wow, I really like your photograph. Yeah, I think I'll buy your $55,000 program right now. Probably not going to happen. You got to make sure you build your messaging or your sequence of messages to them in a way so that over time, over a sequence of messages, they build more trust with the client, and then the client feels more comfortable to buy from you. Okay, so that's very, very important to understand that you have to design your offers and design your messages so they go out in a way that intrigues and builds more trust over time and doesn't try to prematurely sell people. Okay, now that doesn't mean you have to resist selling people. Some of you I know have a mindset that you're kind of a little nervous about selling or making your offer. That's also something that you may have to balance with some objective dialogue with someone else that you trust, who can look at your offers and tell you, yeah, you know what, you're being too shy or you're being too aggressive. You want to find the right balance for your target market on how you sequence your offers and how you sequence your messages. Be prepared to test and refine. You're not going to succeed the first time out. If anybody promises you, you must run for the hills immediately. If any other person says you're going to succeed the first time out, probably not. Listen, I can help you get an audience, but you got to be prepared to test and refine how you're going to sell to that audience and make sure your offers are good. Okay, and like I said, in my program, I make sure that I work with you to, as best as we can, to get your offers done right. You want to make sure you target the right markets. And again, you can set these on Meetup groups, and you can also do that to a certain extent on LinkedIn, okay, if you do it right. So you can target markets. If you're targeting certain specific markets, you know, doctors, for example, who have a practice over a certain size, you can certainly do that on LinkedIn. On Meetup, you can target entrepreneurs. You can target women entrepreneurs. You can target people who have different health interests in meditation or in more concrete science. You can do a lot of these kinds of targeting, okay? You want to research for the best geographical areas to start with. So that's particularly true on Meetup as well. And, I've become kind of a geek when it comes to different cities in different parts of the world. And we figured out where to position your meetups first when you first start out, and then how you can grow it out as you grow. For some of you may want to travel and do business at the same time. You have in our program, we have something called the traveling roadshow strategy, where you can travel and do business at the same time using a meetup strategy in different towns. You want to learn how to find locations for cheap or free. This is, again, an area where a lot of people tend to fail at. They tend to either spend too much on locations or try to get locations that may not work for them. But you want to try and find locations that, A, brand you well, and preferably are for completely free. And as you build out your meetup strategy and you have a larger audience, believe me, I get free locations from some of the top-notch hotels in the Bay Area who literally have given me a free location for a whole year to use, okay? Because they realize that I can help them make a lot of money and bring them a lot of business, either through their bar tabs, as I bring audiences to their restaurants, etc., and their hotel locations. But what the main point is not that you're going to find hotel locations right off the bat. The main point is to set up your meetup group so that people who have locations will reach out to you and want to do business with you. And when that happens, it is beautiful. You don't have to spend money on locations. You don't have to spend a lot of time and energy trying to find these people, these kinds of locations. They will come to you cap in hand, okay? And the people who start out with me initially are quite surprised with just a little bit of elbow grease and the right kind of pitch. You can find locations, and if you talk to them in the right way, they'll be willing to engage with you to give you a location. Okay, execute. This is when you get into action. You got to get into action. Okay, the sooner you get into action, the less worry you'll have. You know, the best way to combat worry and stress is to get ahead of the worry and stress. Is to get ahead of it, get into action, but get into action in a focused way that makes sense in promoting your offerings in the right way. So you want to create events. You want to start thinking about what titles, what could be a sexy, juicy title for your events. You know, if you have a boring title that just says financial education 101, you know, people are going to fall asleep even as they write the title or as they read the title. So you want to create a good title, a good description for your meetup event or your LinkedIn group or however, whatever. You want to master the art and science of writing good, compelling copy or title. The title has to have an emotional hit more than just what kind of action you're going to do during the event. You don't want to just talk about, I'm going to have a hiking event for people who are fitness conscious. No, you want to talk about, you know, beautiful nature and beautiful people hiking trip. You know, you want to make it compelling. You want to make it juicy, right? You know, again, you want, that's the beauty of having a mastermind is that you have better ideas and more juicy and sexier titles and copy on your marketing messaging. Okay. Set up your first meetup group with the event, send in the application. You set up your second and third group, feed the same a few events per month so you don't waste time. Then you go into your growth phase. This is where you add regional, national, global groups. You're starting to reach out more on your LinkedIn to different kinds of collaborators in different areas and different target markets as well. So you may be collaborators in different target markets, but those target markets are people you want to reach as well. And these businesses are not necessarily people you want to compete with. You don't have to compete with them. They don't consider you competition. But you can create what we call wolf packs, where you can work with them and approach the same audience and reduce the amount of cost and time and energy that you spend. And you can do this on Meetup and you can do this on LinkedIn as well. You can use the webinar strategy, this traveling strategy that I briefly talked about earlier, and the cross-platforming, which means you're essentially combining the power of LinkedIn, Meetup, and other social media platforms like Alignable, even Facebook and other social media to really grow out your strategy even more, okay? You can do collaborations when you go into the growth phase, and this is when you master the art and science of not just attracting people, but when they attract them and they come to you and they talk to you, how do you have conversations with them so that you sell them on the idea of doing a collaboration? So what's coming up right now next is I'm going to talk about the golden window of opportunity that's coming up for most of you as we move into 2018. And I'm also going to talk about why I promote my clients to 75,000 plus people. Okay. First, what I want to do is I want to tell you a little bit about what I'm offering that's going to help you put a lot of this into concrete action. And I think this is a very generous offer. That's all it is. And so I'm going to offer it. I have an exponential audience workshop coming up January 26th and 27th of 2018. That's a Friday and Saturday. Goes from about 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. each day. It's going to be in the Bay Area of Northern California, in close to a city called Los Altos. Some of you may be very familiar with Los Altos, so it's in the Palo Alto, Los Altos area. What you get is 2 full days of workshop. It's an opportunity to network with my own connectors who bring large audiences. My own clients are going to be here as well. You have an opportunity. I mean, some of you, I consider that some of you may be offering services at least $500 per client. So if you pick up 10 clients, even not just in that workshop and the other things I'm going to offer to you, you could make at least $5,000 from the next year as a possibility. I'm not guaranteeing this. I'm just helping you decide if this is going to be valuable for you or not. I'm going to cover in this workshop how to do events, how to engage people. I'm going to give you all my PowerPoints so you can follow along and use it for yourself and adopt it and adapt it to your own business. I'm going to tell you how to position your branding effectively and how to do that based on your own target markets, etc. I'm going to show you exactly the steps on how to sell effectively at a meetup event and make money, and much, much more. I'm going to talk about LinkedIn. I'm going to talk about how to do cross-platforming, how to do webinars, how to set up webinars, how to do it right. And then what I'm also going to offer here is a bonus 1-hour strategy session with me, okay? And this usually costs $300 to $500, but I'm offering it today for everything, for the 1-hour strategy session plus the workshop. For the 2-day workshop, you'll get all of that today for $270, but it's only available for today. And if you want to register for that, you want to go to www.exponentialworkshop.com. I'm missing a W there. It's a mistake on my part. www.exponentialworkshop.com, and you can register there. This offer is only literally available for today until 11 p.m. Pacific time. Okay, so you want to make sure you get that offer. Also, if you just want to do the workshop and not the strategy session, that workshop usually retails for $197. And today, until 11 p.m. tonight, I'm offering it for $50. So you can get the Exponential workshop by itself for $50, or you can get the strategy session and the workshop for $270. Okay. And if you sign up for the strategy session and the workshop, we'll reach out back to you within 24 business hours to set up that strategy session as soon as possible. Okay, and it's a 1-hour session, can be done over the phone, or it can be done in person if you're in the Bay Area. And then what you get in that strategy session is I'm going to look at your business, your current target markets, and give you an outline of exactly what you need to do step by step to build up your Meetup and your LinkedIn audience. Okay, so that's the offer for today. I'll cover the questions if you have any on that. Some of you already giving me some questions. I'll answer those questions as soon as possible here, okay? All right, so a couple of testimonials here. Charlotte Jacobs is someone I worked with, and we helped triple her income. Some of you may know who Charlotte Jacobs is. She does a lot of trainings for coaches and healers in the Bay Area and in Southern California. And I've worked with her before. She still continues to edify me, work with me as well. I noticed some of you are raising your hands. Again, if you want to type in a question, go ahead and type in a question in the chat box, okay? And I'll get back to you, okay? So make sure you type in the question in the chat box. So if you go to your navigation menu, go to the chat box and you can type in the question there, all right? And I already got a couple of questions, and I'll promise you I'll get to these questions as soon as possible. A couple more testimonials here. Cammie Baker, she actually started up these meetup groups and then got married. And she gave away these meetup groups to another person in Boston. And the meetup groups are continuing to grow right now. I think they're almost up to like 6,000 people in membership. But when she first started me, we had a 75% overcapacity wait list for her first event within 48 hours. And in Boston, that's really, really difficult to do. It's pretty challenging, pretty competitive in Boston. But we managed to do that. I feel really great about doing that for her. Juliet Clark is in Salt Lake City, smaller town, has about 500,000 people. But we still managed to get her, again, a waiting list within a week or so. It didn't take as fast as with Cammie Baker, but it still occurred. Paul Wood is in the San Jose area. We helped him get a waiting list for the event. Again, that was within the first week, and this was targeted towards professionals in the area. Again, a pretty competitive space, but we managed to get a pretty healthy turnout for him and also make some sales in that first event. I'm not going to cover that graph, but basically this shows how our Google traffic actually grew. as a result of us using Meetup in our strategies here in our own company. So how can you create breakthroughs in your business? The idea is here is you want to create more groups. The more groups you do, more events you do, the better. Now, like I said, more groups doesn't equate to more work for you. You can have few events per month and have all the groups direct their audiences towards your 2 events per month. Okay. You can do webinar and virtual events and what we call hybrid events, where you can do an in-person event and also transmit that by video to more people around the world, potentially if you choose to do that, not nationally or within the region. I can do a traveling roadshow strategy, which I shared about earlier a little bit, using Meetup. All of this helps you save time and increase your results and your outreach over a larger geographical area. You can do the tornado effect. This is simply where you combine the effects of social media with Meetup. I shared that earlier. You can certainly do that with LinkedIn and Meetup by itself and really grow out your audience as well. You can build your tribe. What I mean by this is, as you build your audience, what we encourage you to do, and we show you how to do this, is to get the people who are most engaged in your Meetup groups into your own online forum. Now, this could be Facebook, or it could be your own online forum, which is what we recommend you to do. And that's where you build even way more engagement, because these are people who are already edifying you. They want to exchange information with other people in your tribe. They really want to create more engagement. This is where sales can occur for yourself as well. Okay, you can build your email list using Meetup as well. People come to your events or your webinars. They opt in into your email list, and you build an email list that way as well. I've seen people, including myself, build huge email lists in a matter of short period of time using Meetup, using this very strategy. Okay, and when you start collaborating with other people, your email list will grow as well in a very much more engaged manner. You can also distribute content, something I won't have time to cover today on Meetup. It should be a big hint of you, those of you who like to create content and distribute it. Again, of course, collaborations is where the rubber meets the road. And I didn't talk much about the Global Meetup Mastermind, but if you're interested in joining the Mastermind, we're currently offering it at $2,500 for a lifetime membership. We're going to increase the price because the economics of the market has dictated us to do so. We're probably going to increase it to $6,000 by the end of next week. Okay. So if you're interested in joining our Global Meetup Mastermind, certainly reach out to me to do that. So again, to create a breakthrough level of business, these are the things that you want to do: is create more groups, do more webinar, virtual stuff, using Meetups or LinkedIn, do the traveling show strategy, cross-platform between different social media with your Meetup, build your own tribe as you go along, build an email list, create your content and distribute it on LinkedIn and Meetup, and then collaborate as much as you can. It's another client of mine, Eric Kimmel, who's been working with me for a couple of years. He and his wife are doing very well. We have a Meetup strategy with he's a real estate person, a realtor as well. And his agents are now creating Meetup groups, and they've actually created deals and opportunities coming through Meetup that way. Okay, it's a great way to build your business. Those of you who want to scale up your business, Meetup is a great way to do it, and I can show you how to do that as well. It's more testimony. I'm not going to go through all of these, but Julie Parker, who's the second testimonial here, she's really growing quite rapidly in the Houston area. And we keep fine-tuning her Meetup groups, and she's doing really well there. And she's actually done what I call up-branding herself, which is something a lot of you may want to do, which is some of you may be experts, but it may be really good to position yourself not just as an expert, but a maven or a connector for other experts in your area as well. And Meetup can give you an opportunity to do that pretty well. So why is it urgent to take action right now? January and February is a time where most people will want to take commitments. They want to start doing things. And, it's because it's the end of the year. After the end of the year, people want to do stuff. But this is the time where you need to plan and prepare and execute on your marketing strategy. November and December is a time that you really want to start doing this more aggressively. Okay. So now is the time to plan, prepare, and execute, so you can start doing your marketing. If not by mid-December, you certainly want to start doing that so that you can start selling and getting clients or customers in January and February. Now you can wait till next year to do this, and it's fine, but there's a huge opportunity cost to do this. And particularly the biggest opportunity right now is if you want to get engaged with me, the biggest opportunity is to start collaborating with me. And for people who join my global meetup mastermind, I actually promote them at least once to my crowd, which is currently at 75,000 people and still growing. So if you want to get in on that, reach out to me and certainly engage with me so we can talk about that. Okay. I know some of you are already interested in doing that, and you're curious about how to collaborate with me. If you're serious, and you really want to do that, I can even give you access to our weekly, or at least one of our weekly global meetup mastermind calls. So you get a direct experience of the kind of collaborative power that my people do when we get on the calls like that. Okay, and you get a sense of how we do that. But you want to make sure that you're serious about that, and you want to participate in it, and that you have a budget to engage in joining Global Meetup Mastermind. Okay, but those of you who want to start out and just want to find out more about it, what I do, these are the opportunities. So it's the Exponential Audience Workshop again, like I shared earlier, and you can sign up for that by going to the www.exponentialworkshop.com. I also put that into the chat box, so you can click on that link and go to that link and register there right away. Again, you can get that for $50. That's only going to last for today. It retails at $197 usually, but I'm just giving this offer right now. We already filled up quite well for it, but we're taking on a few more people for it. It's going to be a nice, cozy workshop. But if you want to get that opportunity, certainly jump on that as quickly as possible. The dates for the workshop are January 26th and 27th next year in January of 2018. It's a Friday and Saturday. It goes from about 10 a.m. It goes from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. or 5:30. It's either one of those. We do our best to end early if we cover all the information and we answer all your questions. But it's certainly from 10 a.m. to at least 5:30 p.m. Okay. You get 2 full days of workshop. You get to connect with my people who are collaborators, very generous and ambitious people who want to work with people like you to collaborate. I'll teach you how to do events, how to do the LinkedIn strategy, how to brand yourself effectively, how to create your offer so it's sexy and compelling, how to build your audience, what it takes, all the steps involved in from A to Z, and how to build your audience up, and much more. Okay. And then you get the bonus 1-hour strategy session. You pay the $270, you get the workshop and the strategy session with me. So if you go to it's not Exponential Workshop, sorry, exponentialaudience.com. So I'm going to put the right, in my excitement, I put the wrong link there. So the right link, I'm going to type it in here so you have it. So it's exponentialaudience.com. It's where you want to go. And if you go to that link, then you can register for one of these, okay? So either you can do the workshop by itself for $50 or do the workshop and the strategy session for a combination of $270. I hope that makes sense, okay? A couple more testimonials here. Those of you in the Bay Area, you probably know Joyce Hannon, who's the founder of Promote Her Business, or PHB. She's a devout member of our Global Meetup Mastermind, raves about it. She's a collaborator with me as well. And it's great working with her. She loves the program and keeps recommending me as well. Jory Hinkson Fisher, those of you who are in the Baltimore area, you want to pay attention to Jory. She's already making really great audience build up in the Baltimore, Maryland area, someone I collaborate with as well. And I'm beginning to set up meetup groups with her in that area as well. Very glad she made the decision to dive in and join the Global Meetup Mastermind. It's made a huge difference for her in her life as well as in her business. Julie Parker, I mentioned earlier, she's doing really great in Houston. Also now very excited, caught the bug about doing collaborations in just a matter of months. She's seeing how it works and works really well, and it can put a lot of money in her pocket and do things very joyfully as well, and elevate her presence as an expert in the sales area. So that's again what we're offering is you can either do the workshop by itself for $50 or do the workshop and the strategy session for $270. Now, I got a couple of questions here. So first question here is, what do I cover in the workshop? Um, okay, so it's a two full day workshop, like I said earlier. I'll cover all the steps you need to do. So at the end of the workshop, you'll be clear and you'll get a step-by-step procedure on how to set up your meetup groups and set up your events on Meetup. I'll also show you exactly what you need to do on LinkedIn to build your audience up. I'll also show you how to, I'll show you a process that I use very successfully with myself, where you can build your branding up in a linear fashion and make it very compelling and useful. Again, like I can't overemphasize this. If your branding is off or your offers are not compelling enough, that's the first place to start with. So we'll work on that in the Exponential workshop, probably the first day itself. Then I'll show you how to sell at a meetup event, what makes a compelling offer, and how to sell it, how to position your selling, how to sequence your presentation so that it builds to your upsell at an event or a webinar. And I'll show you how to do a workshop strategy. Those of you who want to fill up a workshop, I'll show you how to use Meetups to do that, and LinkedIn as well. I'll show you how to cut your budget, how to build a team over time as you build your Meetup strategy or your audience and you build more cash flow. You may want to start giving away more of your tasks that you're doing right now. And how can you hire a team and build a team affordably? I have teams that I pay about $400 per month. They're overseas, but I train them very well in an effective manner. I'll show you my training manuals that I use with them, and you can adopt that as well to build up your teams over time. That's a fantastic deal right there, you know, because it's one thing to build an audience and build a marketing engine, but you also want to make sure that you're looking at the next 3 years out so that you're not overwhelmed with this huge engine and you're trying to run it yourself. You want to start planning how to give it away and how to engage other people in a good team that's loyal to you and understands exactly what you need to do in a manual way that they can show them how to do what you need to do, okay? So those are the two offers, and you can certainly do that. See, it's another question here. No, I'm afraid we don't do events online. You can come to our, Bob has asked, will there be events like this workshop but held online? You know, usually I try not to do that. We've done it in the past with live streaming, but you know, Bob, if you are interested, just stay in touch with me because you'll get updates on this anyway. If our workshop, which will probably fill out, we might decide to actually do a live streaming with our workshop in January as well. So just stay tuned for that, okay? But right now it's an in-person event because it works better that way. You'll get to meet other collaborators. You want to come in person to the event. I encourage you to do so because you're going to meet the collaborators. And you see, as much as online interactions are very great to do, nothing beats meeting somebody face to face. You go out to lunch with them and you engage with them, and then you engage in the content that I'm presenting at the same time. It creates a fabulous context to interact with them so that you can create some collaborations. And I tell you, collaborations is the really, if you're really looking to build your business up, you want to really start thinking how to build this up collaboratively. So I'm sorry, but you know, we're not going to do it an online version of this, but we'll certainly do an offline version, like I'm saying. Okay. Let's see other questions. What do you offer in the strategy session specifically? Yeah, you know, there's quite a lot of work that I do in the strategy session. Right before that, I'll actually do an email exchange with you, and I'll ask you some specific questions regarding your target audiences, your objectives. But I dive a little deeper than that. I want to look at your vision statement as well, your current website or anything you have currently. If you're starting out, that's fine. I can still work with you. If you've been in business for a while, I still can work with you as well. And so we look at particularly at your target markets, your current marketing, your objectives, and then I will outline to you exact steps that you need to do, customized to you and your business and your target markets on how to set up the meetup and how to set up LinkedIn outreach so that can work for you, okay? I also have tons of connections that I'm willing to make for you to some of my high-level collaborators as long as your branding is up to par. If your branding is up to par, I'm more than willing to make connections for you. It's not a problem for me, okay, to do that, okay? As long as, again, your branding and your messaging is good. my collaborators like to see and like to work, and I do as well. I like to work with people as long as their messaging makes sense and it's going to appeal to my audience, and I feel like it will. I'm more than happy to collaborate. Okay, but I tend to collaborate first with the people who are my immediate clients because that just makes sense to do. But that's something else. Those are the things that I cover in the strategy session. Okay, so it really depends on what you need and what you want. But that's a pretty much jam-packed 1 hour strategy session. I'm not cheap with my time. If we need a little bit more time, 15 or 20 minutes extra to cover additional strategy with you, I'll do that. Okay. So again, the workshop is $50 just for today until 11 p.m. And if you want to get the workshop and the strategy session, again, till 11 p.m. tonight, that's for $270. Okay, so you want to go to, sorry, and I apologize for the wrong link there. You want to go to www.exponentialaudience.com. I put it into the chat box, so you can click on that and get the link there. Okay, let's see. What kind of results can I promise? Okay, so this is a good question. I cannot, by law, guarantee you any kind of income, and I won't do that because there are too many variables involved in doing that. Okay, realistically. But what I can promise, contingent again on you having at least a decent offering. And it makes sense. It has some compelling nature to it. It's not inconceivable to promise you a couple of thousand people in your audience within the next few months. Okay, I can stand by that promise pretty easily. But again, it's contingent on you doing the work, making sure that your offers are good. You follow and take my coaching, obviously. And if you do all that work, then it's not a problem to promise you that. And if I can't do that, I'll tell you right off the bat. Okay, I won't waste your time because there are just so many people who I can help, and I'm not adverse to doing that. Let's see. My experience of Meetup is the other question I have. I can't read the person's name. But my experience of Meetup audiences in times they've tried, they have been flaky and not showing up. So how do you address that? You're probably right, because there are a couple of reasons why people are showing up are flaky. One is that your offer may not be compelling, or your meetups are not set up in a way that's compelling enough to people. So you're not attracting the right people. That I underline. That's probably the main reason why. It's because your underlying offer is not that compelling. So people are showing up, just want to network. They don't even know what you're offering. They just see a meetup and they show up. So you got to make sure that your copy and your messaging and your narrative makes sense on the meetup. That's one thing. The second is a lot of meetups are not set up correctly. In fact, the majority of them are not set up correctly. So they're not set up correctly in the sense that your timing of when you send in the application is also critical. There are certain timings and dates and times that you want to do that with Meetup. And if you do it right, you'll get the right date that Meetup will launch your Meetup. Because if you time it wrong, Meetup will then announce your Meetup group and event on a weekday. And nobody opens up their emails on a weekday. On a weekend, not a weekday. So nobody opens up their emails on a weekend. So you're not going to get your initial launch done right. That's one reason why you may not be getting the right kind of audiences as well, or the sufficient numbers of people. So you just don't get fakes, you get other people who are interested in as well. Okay. So there are a couple of reasons why you may be getting flaky people is because you're not setting it up right and you're not really timing it and strategizing it and designing it correctly. Okay. So I'll show you how to set it up right, how to design it correctly so it's compelling and you're hitting the right audiences and your timing of your launching is done correctly. Okay. So those are I just want to respect everybody's time. I know I've gone over quite a bit here, but thank you for your patience. And again, before I leave here, you want to make sure you go to exponentialaudience.com and register for the workshop and or the strategy session. And I look forward to engaging with you in the future. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Yeah, some of you are trying to register, and I apologize again. You want to make sure you go to exponentialaudience.com, uh, and that will take you to the right link. Okay, and you see the link right here in front of you. So you can either you can either sign up for the strategy session, which is $270 plus the workshop, so strategy session plus the workshop at $270, or the workshop only for $50. Okay, and again, this is only until 11 p.m. tonight. The dates for the workshop, Joanna, is January 26th and 27th of next year, of 2018. We are filling up fast, and we do close off the registrations. Okay, when we hit our limit for the location, so make sure you get there. It's a Friday and Saturday it's going to be probably in Los Altos, and it's going to be from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. And these are the things you get in the workshop here as well. So you can read through that, get a sense of what we offer in the workshop. And so, yeah, you can get that from the link here, which is exponentialaudience.com. Okay. So what we cover is how to grow a local, regional, national, global audience, how to leverage your audience, combining the power of Meetup with other social media, how to ignite your business confidence with a bigger vision. This is where I do the branding part as well, which is critical for a lot of you, I can promise you. This is where you want to make sure you get your offers clear and straight and compelling. Then you also get an opportunity to network and mastermind with some of the best connectors and ambitious. These are new people as well as people that have been in the business for a while. It's a great combination of people. Love working with them. You also get to network and mastermind with me while I'm there. And so it's a great opportunity to do all that. Okay. Also teach you how to run webinars and Meetup, and so you can run those from your home as well. So I hope that answers your question. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, I think I answered all the main questions here. If I missed anybody, feel free to when you get when you get the current free trainings that you guys all signed up for, you'll get an opportunity to connect with me for a 15-minute chat. Those 15-minute chats go pretty quickly, but I try to renew them, or my team tries to renew times every week or so. But you can also reach out to me by email if you have a short, quick question. I'll be happy to answer those questions for you. Okay. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. So you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Make sure you go on the link again. That's exponentialaudience.com to fill out your registration. Okay, you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.